What was the thing that made you question your beliefs?
So I was a Southern Baptist Christian. I grew up in a place called the Bible Belt, which there's more churches than there are McDonald's. I studied the Bible. I was a youth minister. I was a missionary. I served in a mission in Guatemala. Time when I exited Christianity, I was a youth minister in a Southern Baptist church. That's how it pretty much led me to here.
How did you first hear about Islam?
I was in high school and I learned about, they taught us all the different religions, Hinduism, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Of course, it was slanted. The people that were teaching it were all Southern Baptists like me, which they were not going to give the whole truth. But thank God that the test that we had, it gave the 5 pillars of Islam. It told us that Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the prophet. Of course, when it was taught to me, it was like, well, this is what they believe. And that was from when Abraham left Ishmael in the desert. Isaac was the one that was to carry the prophethood. That was the way it was explained. But they did give a good picture of Islam. There was nothing mentioned that would damage the religion. It was just saying, well, that's for them and this is for us.
What was the thing that made you question your beliefs?
So reading the Bible in the New Testament, studying Jesus, peace be upon him, with the Christian belief that Jesus was God and he was also the Son of God, that's what took me away, because he never said, I'm your God, pray to me. It came later on with the Apostle Paul or Saul. And also in the book of Matthew, there's a place where he was with 3 of the, we'll say Sahaba, he was with the 3 of the apostles, and he was going into a garden where he told these 3, he says, wait here, because if they find me, they'll kill me. That was a very human trait. That's something that if a God was saying something like that, it would be like, I don't care what you do, I'm going to go here, I'm not worried. So at least that was the thing that I knew was true. And then I prayed to God alone. And that was the, I say, evolution of how I became Muslim.
Can you tell us about your journey from Christianity to Islam?
I'll tell you the story how it happened. I had to have been 19, probably right around 20. I was driving to church. I was going to teach my youth ministry, which they were from 15 to 18. That was the age group that I was teaching. I was at war with myself. Like, I needed God. I needed him in my life. I needed the right path to God. I was sitting there. I had my Wrigley's spearmint chewing gum in my mouth. I was chewing, and I'm driving my Ford F-150 down a highway in Mississippi, going to church. I said, okay, God, please show me the way. Show me this path that you want me to be in. Show me the truth. I need it now. Please, God, please give it to me. And it just in my mind, I said, you know what? So I'm going to take this gum and I'm not going to look and I'm going to throw it. And I said, if it goes out that window, then I'm no longer going to believe in Jesus as God, and I'm just going to pray to God. So I threw that piece of chewing gum, and then I turned my head and I looked down. I pulled over on the side of the highway. I got out. I walked around the truck. I opened the door. I searched high. I searched low. The gum was gone. Got back in the truck and I passed right by the church. So after this event had taken place, I met someone that I knew when I was in college studying. He's from Saudi Arabia. His name's Ali Al-Ghamdi. He's from the very southern tip of Saudi Arabia, a place called Bisha. We had met up. He asked me, he says, what's your religion? And I told him, I said, I'm without religion. He says, what do you mean? What's this? There's no such thing as without religion. What do you believe? I said, well, I pray to God. And he said, okay. He said, so are you a Christian? I said, no, I'm not a Christian. He said, well, what do you think Jesus, peace be upon him, is? I said, he's a prophet. He's a man just like me and you. He says, so he's not the Son of God? And I said, no, he's a man. He's a prophet. He delivered a word and he delivered a message. And, I believe what he said was true. And he said, okay. He says, well, what do you think about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him? And I said, well, he says, do you think he's a prophet? I said, yeah, I do. I said, I think he's a prophet. He had a word also, but I don't believe that was for me. I believe that it was for a different group of people. And he looked at me and he stuck his finger in my face and he says, you're a Muslim, man. And then I returned the finger and I said, no. I said, I'm not a Muslim. And my name and that word will never be connected. So that day, there was something inside me. It was like a dot. There was some type of dot that had been put in my heart. So back in the day, I had my old Packard Bell. It was not many people know what a Packard Bell is today. They don't exist. And so I would go on there and I would ask Jeeves, which Jeeves was the Google of today back then. So I would go and ask Jeeves, just type in Islamic topics. One day I'd come home from work and I was, just following my normal routine, come home from work, take off my shoes and everything, get comfortable. And sat down at my computer, what is Islam? It gave the 5 pillars of Islam. When I read them, for some reason, I read La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, and I said, I believe that. And then I read, make Hajj, to fast, to pay zakat, to pray. Every pillar that I read, it was like something had opened. I can't explain it. It was like if my heart was being painted or a light was opening inside me. Then once I had finished reading all the 5 pillars, I knew that I couldn't go any other direction. That was the only direction that I could go. And there was a link. It said how to be Muslim. So I clicked that link, and there was a small PDF that opened up. I'm holding this piece of paper, and then I went to the bathroom. I took my Shahada in a bathroom. By myself, I went in the bathroom. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. I washed myself in the bathroom, and then from that point, I started praying.
What is the quality of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that impressed you the most?
It would have to be his humanity. You know, the humanity of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the example, and it is the example that we all aspire to be. He was so humble and kind to everyone. I've never seen harsh words that he's given, even when he was getting on to someone. If he was telling them something that they did wrong, it was still in a way that they wanted to hear it. They wanted to hear it. It was never, like we get on to our children. It was delivered in a way that people wanted to receive. And that's the way that I like to make dawah. When I make my dawah and I tell people about Islam, is I try to think about how would the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, approach this person. This is our belief. It's a belief of submission and peace to one God.